Can you say it? Okay. Say, this is Steven Adams, and you can't be miffed and...
Hold up. All right. Hold on. Here we go. Welcome to Down to Dunk. I'm your host, Andrew Schleck. We're part of the Athletic Podcast Network. With me today is my good friend, Michele Berra. Michele, what's up?
Yay, it's Monday. We had playoff basketball that I actually was able to watch and to enjoy. So everything is great. I mean,
man, the basketball was great over the weekend.
Oh, yeah.
That was... There's so many fun games. I don't even know how to pick like my favorite series, to be honest. It was so good. But we don't have time for that right now, Michele.
No, right.
We got to go to some questions. It's a short show today. My schedule is jam-packed. So we are just going to squeeze this show in. And here we go. We're going to go to some questions. Thanks for asking on Twitter. This is a great playoff question. This is from at Pepsi United. What surprised you the most in the first games of the playoffs?
Well, I didn't watch every game, but I was able to catch Memphis against Utah the most part.
Yeah.
And that was extremely surprising because
like
Memphis is great, is a great team, but Utah, I mean, they have all the tools to beat that kind of team. I mean, it's not that Memphis has some crazy pick and roll partner. Yes, like Moran is awesome, but it's weird. Granted, no Mitchell, so a little bit in the air.
The Mitchell stuff is weird overall. I mean, he's acting like he's discontent. ESPN reported that he's unhappy with the Utah Jazz with how they've handled things. It's just an odd situation because he said he was ready to go in media availability, like publicly said, "I'm ready to go for game one." They made him sit. Gobert is being weird about it. He's being weird about it. The Jazz are being weird about it. It is a really strange situation in Utah right now.
Right in time when you need that.
Yeah, it's not nothing. I still would assume that they get it together and beat Memphis. But I don't know, like that Memphis team not only has like a young, talented point guard in Ja Morant, and then they've got really, really nice role players all around. Like they're almost too deep with like pretty good players, but they're resilient. They're tough. They're well coached. They're not going to be this pushover 8th seed that's not ready to be there. They were a little bit battle tested last year, thinking that they could get in. Last year, they were the 8th seed for a majority of the year last year, and ended up losing in the play-in game in the bubble last year. And now they had to win 2 games against 2 different teams to get into the playoffs. I don't think they're scared. They're absolutely resilient. So, I mean, Utah's playing a little bit with what they have here. I think they probably just thought that, they can sit Mitchell and still win. And that may be true, but it's a bad look. Like it's an overall really bad look for Utah today.
2 more very quick thoughts. One on Memphis and one on the other thing that I really enjoyed in this first day of playoffs. First, I really like when Gobert is bullied.
Yeah,
and Valanciunas just did that. I mean, it's a pleasure because Gobert is a great player. But if you are physical with him, that is where you kind of can take him out of the game a little bit. And Jonas just did that. The second thing that I want to say that was impressive was the way in which Phoenix defended against the Lakers. I mean, granted, LeBron is not at the best of his physical tools, nor is AD probably, but if you go back and watch the fourth quarter, I did it this morning. I mean, they were all over the place, and there was a one or two actions where Ayton held his own against Anthony Davis, and he was so aggressive, so physical. That it was the thing that was missing for me in his draft profile, and now he's there, and it's great. I'm so happy for Phoenix because they they have a great coaching staff. Part of that is clearly OKC flavored, and yeah, I mean that defense was something.
Yeah, it really was. Yeah, Ayton showing up is a huge deal. To me, that's like the number one catalyst, because I think you know what you're going to get from most of those other guys on that team. Chris Paul, Jake Crowder, Devin Booker, like those guys are going to show up. Ayton has
Even
been kind of this wild card. Yeah, even with just one shoulder and not being able to dribble with one of his hands. But anyways, we'll see how he looks for game 2. But good signs so far for the Suns. Bad signs for the Lakers. But that can flip very quickly. At Thunder F Up, asking kind of a similar question, which was the best games, but I just want to follow up with this. How badly did the crowd noise make everyone yearn for Thunder basketball?
Yeah.
It was, I mean, quite a bit, because I went to a lot of Thunder games this year, and it's just not the same. Like, it's just not even close to the same. It was odd. Some of it was fun. Like, some of those games were fun to be at, but at the same time, the crowd really does make up so much of these games, and especially playoff games where there's tension and you can
feel that. Yeah.
Yes, you can feel it through the screen. Yeah. It was so wonderful.
It was missing. I mean, and OKC has one of the loudest crowds. I mean, I was there clearly, but even from TV, you notice that. You notice how loud they are, and that part was missing. I mean, they did a good job with the crowd noise, but when you hear it for real, that is completely different.
Yeah, it makes a huge difference. Let's see. This is from Buster _Nakamoto. Dylan Brooks blasts through Canadian NBA playoffs single point game record last night. How long until Shea takes it?
Well, it really depends on what the plans are next year. But let's say in 4 years, tops.
Yeah, I give it 2.
Okay. You
years.
are the guy that thinks that OKC will take it very slowly. But yeah, 2 years.
I do. I think even 2 years will feel slow by the time we get there.
Yeah.
I'll tell you. I think it'll feel that way.
Let's put it this way. I think it will take 5 playoffs game off Shea, whenever that is.
Yeah, probably so. And Dylan Brooks is awesome last night. That guy's good. Like he is a really good player on both
chucker,
ends. Really,
but a chucker in a system, which is something that is good to have.
I like a good chucker.
Yeah.
I like him.
And by the way, it's just by 1 point from Lou Dort. This is incredible.
Yeah.
Didn't Lou had 30 like last year?
Yeah, he had 30.
Was he holding the record before?
I honestly don't know that. I'd never heard anybody say that. So I'm not.
It's weird that 31 is a record. We should fact check that.
Yeah, we got to fact check that. I don't know the truth about that for sure. So at Captain Corbin asks, can you go over how the coin flip works tomorrow to determine the 4th and 5th odds? So I believe they still split the odds with regards to how they acquire one of the top 4 picks.
Yeah, the ping pong balls are split.
Yes, the ping pong balls are split for the teams.
Mm-hmm.
So this is just if, let's say, Cleveland and OKC land outside the top 4.
Yeah,
this will determine that order.
Yeah.
So if they're both bumped out, if OKC wins the coin flip, they'll pick before Cleveland, or vice versa.
Exactly.
That's how that works.
It basically says how far can you slide. Basically.
Yes. It will determine if that 9th spot is really the furthest the Thunder can slide.
Yeah.
Which is that is currently the furthest that they could slide. It's very, very, very low odds, but it's still
0.32, something like that.
0.9, I thought.
0.9, yeah. That's surely good.
Yeah. And then there's another question below from at Nick Tyler 55. Can you also explain how it's a good thing for the Thunder for the Rockets to have the worst record? Yes. So if the Rockets are going to land outside of the top 5, if they don't get drawn, basically with the ping pong balls, if their combination doesn't get drawn, they will land at 5, and because that's really the only spot that they could land outside of the top 4, they have basically 50-50 chance of landing there. I think it's like 48% chance to land
exactly
at the 5th spot.
Yeah, and there is something that is totally related to this draft. So if you have a top 5 heavy draft, then this is where you want to pick. You want to pick at 5 at worst. So in a draft where you have maybe 2 very good players and then a lot of guys, then this maybe you always want to keep to pick the highest. But like if you have more chances to pick between 5 and 10 than not to pick, then in a normal draft where you have like maybe a little bit of talent spread, which is not the case, or apparently this is not the case, that it's okay. In this particular year, when you have 5 very, very good players, and you can argue that you have 4 plus 1, and then the others, having the chance to pick that plus 1 it's very important.
Mm-hmm.
And so yeah, in a year where you maybe have 3 players and then a lot of guys, like the year in which they draft Shea, that was a draft where you had like 4 very good players, or maybe 5 even that year. Well, there are probably drafts where you have a lot of depth, like last year.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think that drafting 5 or 10 makes a ton of difference, and you can see that because like Halliburton was all over the place between 5 and 12, and he ended up 12th. So in a draft like that, it doesn't matter that much. In this one, yes.
Mm-hmm. So here's how Houston obviously can't move up, and so because of that, their odds aren't spread as far as other teams. Like OKC sitting there with currently what they believe are the 6th best odds, depending on how things go, 5 or 6. The Thunder's odds are spread between the number 1 pick and the number 9th pick. And it's 11% all the way, 11% for 1 through 4 for each of those slots, 2% for the 5th pick, 18% for 6th, 25% for 7th, 8% for 8th, and then 0.6%. I was wrong. It's not 0.9, 0.6% for the 9th pick. You look at Houston.
20?
Say it again.
What was the one for number 5? 20?
2%.
2%?
Yeah, that's what it says. This is all on tankathon.com.
That is quite weird.
Yeah, it's strange. I don't quite understand it. Someone will explain it. Probably Stephen Dolan will explain it to me afterwards. So Houston, because this is why you wanted Houston to have this pick. 1, you wanted the best chance to have the highest pick with theirs. You could have been like, man, I wish they were in Toronto's spot and were more likely to get like the 8th, 9th, or 10th pick or whatever it is. Like, cool. The Thunder are interested in swinging for the fences. This is the swing for the fences pick. And because Houston can't move up, they can only stay where they are or move down. Like, those are the 2 options that they have. And you look at the odds to stay in the top 4, which you'd have to be drawn for, 14%, 13% at 2, 12% at 3, 11% at 4. And then because of that, that's the furthest they can fall is 5th. That's 47.9% that they land at the 5th spot. That's the best chances that they have is that they will land there. So, I mean, that's what you want if you're OKC. You want to have those odds. You don't really want them spread through like 7 through 10 or 7 through 12. You want them at 5. You want all the odds to lay there at 5. And that's why we want Houston to have the worst record in the league. Let's see. This is from at Bunch of Numbers. After Presti's exit interview, what do you think the chances are that the Thunder make the playoffs in the next 2 years?
Well, I don't like to.
I mean, next year, like 2% chance in my head.
You have no faith at all in
Very
SGA
little.
and Boguszewski.
Very
Shame on you.
little. Next
No.
year, not forever, but next year.
Yeah, I think that they were
Also tell me if you think that they could, who's out of the West play-in or the West playoffs or play-in? Like who's out? That's the other difficult thing. Like you can project growth for this team,
Mhm.
but is it big enough to overcome who's already there?
So I think I think that it's hard for them to be a playoff team next year. It's very hard. There are teams that can explode, I think. There are at least 2 teams that maybe not the Blazers, because I think that they will win against Denver. And so their explosion rate is kind of low. But I think there is a scenario in which the other LA team explodes.
Sure.
And that
be
is
great.
something. That'd be
Very
great.
favorable for the Thunder with all the unprotected picks that they have.
I really think that OKC can take the San Antonio Spurs spot in the play-in tournament.
Okay.
I really think that is I don't think that is something that you necessarily want.
I was going to say, can you win 2 games and get in the playoffs?
Maybe. It depends on who's there. Maybe. It depends.
Could they beat Memphis? Could they beat Memphis next year?
Maybe. I don't think that is out of the question. I don't think that is a 2% thing. I think that there is a good
also
percentage.
there's so much unknown.
Oh yeah, it's almost impossible to know it now, because
to predict today. Yeah,
it's impossible.
You can't do it today.
I don't. Today. That is what there is a chance between 1 and 30. I think that there are. You can see at the roster in September and say, I think that this is a 35/40 win teams as a floor. I think that is possible, especially if they decide that. I mean, if they have luck, and if they decide that, well, let's help luck, because we will never tank with a team like that. And so let's see what we have, and maybe we don't go all the way to trade Al Horford, or we don't trade good guys, and we just see. That I think is a possibility.
Yeah, I don't think it's impossible.
I wouldn't bet on it.
I think it's unlikely. But
yes, and that 30% to me is still unlikely in mathematical terms. I wouldn't bet on something that has 30% chance to happen. Let's put it this way.
At the Fluky ask, is SGA getting the max this offseason? Yes. Next question.
The point is not the max, is what comes with it. Is that a player option? Is that just for 4 years? There is a trade kicker or something like that. That is where we will know more about what Shea wants for real.
Yeah. Yes, definitely. Tyler K. Field asks, who do the Thunder send to represent the franchise at the lotto drawing? Who would give us the most luck?
That is not even a question. I want Pokusevski in a Hawaiian shirt and glasses.
Okay. Yep, that's the right answer. Let's see.
I was prepared.
This is from Nate. It's either Nate's End 5 or Nate Sand 5. I don't know. Do you love sand? Maybe you do. Who knows? He asked, do you think the defense Shea showed with the Clippers and at Kentucky can be showed with the Thunder when he carries less of an offensive load? And what's his ceiling with good defense?
I think that it depends what kind of play he defends. With his feet, I don't know if he will ever be a premier pick and roll defender. I don't think that he has quickness in his feet enough quickness in his feet to defend premier pick and roll guys. I also don't think that this is what he will be asked to do, because it's rare that you put a point guard on Shea. Because he will have a height advantage. For example, like Marcus Smart was on Shea, not Kemba. So I think that he will that the idea is to give Lou the premier assignment, and that will be basically shadowed by the other team. So if he has, say, the third option on the wings on the opponent team, then I think he can be a pretty good team defender. Especially if he's surrounded by better offensive options and defensive options.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that's right. All right, one more. This is something we discussed. I guess we didn't discuss it in these terms at the beginning, but Zach Deeg wants to know, is Mitchell the future young discontent star Sam could go after?
Well, let me say this. If he is not happy in Utah and there is a slight chance that he likes to come to OKC and play with Shai, I'll make a pretty good offer to Utah, because I think that Mitchell will create such a dynamic duo with Shai that, I mean, it's worth whatever.
What's your offer?
Well, I think that you cannot go below 4 first rounder, the one that Utah wants. That is a starter. And then maybe you need to add something else. You may need to give every Los Angeles pick that you have from now to
what's
like 2000.
Difficult is, like, if you're Utah, you probably want a young player back for Mitchell.
No, that's not going to happen. Well, if Dort is the thing that makes the deal work.
Oh, what about this? Just what if the Thunder get 1 and 5 and Jalen Suggs is the one that drops to 5? Would you trade Suggs and 3 first-round picks for him?
Yeah, almost immediately, especially if I have 1. If I just have 5, I will do it anyway.
You would trade Suggs for him and 3 picks anyways?
If he wants to come, yes.
Interesting. Okay, that's all we have time for. Thanks for listening to today's show.
He's a great player. He's a great
player.
15 player in the league. There is very slim chance that the top 5 pick, pick number 5 is that good.
Yeah, it's true.
And he's
team
young.
control. The team control stuff scares me.
It's 3 years. Does he have 3 years left?
Yeah,
because that's 3 years. Well, 3 years is a lot.
Well,
KD didn't last 4 years in Golden State. So
I know, but it just doesn't line up with the Thunder's goals, though. 3 years doesn't align with the Thunder's goals.
Oh, I know that you don't have time, but if you have 2 players locked up for 3 years, then as I always say, those are assets that you may use, because those are young players. And if things doesn't work in year 1 nor in year 2, you have 2 players that maybe are not happy and that want to play elsewhere, and you have a lot of assets there, and then you're ready to tank, because I don't think that Pokusevski will be ready to lead a team in 2 years.
You're trying to lead us into another tank, Michele? Oh my gosh. Okay, let's go to the stream before we're done here. Tyler Field says, "What's up from OKC?" Kyle Clark says, "What's up, Falk in Denmark?" We have Arthur L saying, "What's up?" We have Tyler Kendrick in Mobile, Alabama. Nathan Kramer, he's got big Monday energy. We have Miroslav, who I believe is in Germany. Oh, Arthur L is in Bethany, Oklahoma. Let's see. Twice God says, "What's up from Broken Bow? Vacation pod for me." Nice. Broken Bow. So nice. Wish I was there right now. We have Evan McDonald in Portland. We have Brushy in Albuquerque. We have Daniel from the UK saying, "Wasan." We have Tanner Blosser from Rapid City, South Dakota. Wow. Very cool. We have Jamie in Mexico. The Fluky is in Germany as well. We have Ross Patterson in New Jersey. Thanks so much, everybody, for listening. Have a great, great Monday, and we will talk to you guys again on Wednesday.